Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pizza Podcast channel. I'm your host, the HOD of the PSP, and another match recap straight after the Real Madrid versus Granada game in Laliga. It is the same plot copied once again by Real Madrid, playing a game where they score a goal, they look pretty confident, they look pretty comfortable scoring and leading the game, and then they just regress and they make it hard for themselves with a couple of defensive mistakes, and they make the game really rough and nervous for themselves in the end. Like, share and subscribe of course to the channel, enable notifications to receive all the updates and videos like this. Follow us on social media, Side PSP on Twitter, PitchSideboard on Instagram, and of course listen to the podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you can get it from. This is a game where Real Madrid entered without Luka Modric for injury. The good news is that Hazard returned at least to the squad, so there's that. Starting with Casemiro, Valverde and Cruz up in midfield, of course. And it showed really. Again, I questioned a couple of matches ago, I think it was in the Atletico Madrid game, or Atletico Bilbao game, I think one of those, where Valverde started, and I really questioned, is he ready, is he 100% fit, and the answer was no, and it showed here. Like, Valverde wasn't exactly 100% here, it wasn't, doing the best that he could do really. He was a little bit off of his normal form, and it affected the whole Real Madrid play, because Real Madrid weren't exactly as direct as they would usually be with Luka Modric in the side, so they fell a little bit off the rail. They started playing a little bit more wide. Granada, all credit to them really, they had a tremendous tactical plan in the first half. They played the not classical really 4-4-2, it was more of a hybrid 3-5-2 of sorts, with Kennedy on the left hand side, and of course Milla reverting into a third centre-back at certain points, alongside Jesus Vallejo and Dominguez Duarte. Soldado is up front. I think he has no effect really. 35 years of age, you cannot ask a lot from him. He didn't do a lot in the game. Granada played high, they had a couple of chances, they started actually stronger the first 5 minutes or so. Real Madrid couldn't grow into the game that easily in the first half. They haven't had quite a good amount of momentum going for them, didn't have the best of chances. They were too indirect, I think they were too wide, risking themselves a lot of times trying to play the ball out from the back, almost costing themselves the game and almost conceding a goal at a couple of really clear occasions in the first half. In the second half, of course, a big detail that I need to mention: Rodrigo, who was starting in the game, went down injured just 5 or 6 minutes before half-time, so he was replaced by Asensio. A blow, I think, for Real Madrid, for someone who has shown a lot of potential in the last couple of months, really, almost stealing his place ahead of Vinicius Jr. at the side. Vinicius, who there are rumours circulating saying that he's going to be loaned out to Arsenal, which is not a good option, both from a footballing perspective and from a transfer kind of perspective. In the second half, Real Madrid also didn't start strong. The first 5 minutes, they were still a little bit wobbling, still woozy. Granada still playing a little bit high. They had a couple of chances early on not to score, but maybe to create a little bit of a danger. Not clear-cut chances in terms of almost goals, but in terms of putting pressure on Real Madrid, they did that for the first 5 minutes or so. Then Real Madrid came into their senses a little bit. They started getting more direct, and in the first significant, I would say, move in between the spaces, they managed to score. All credit to Asensio, by the way, for the first goal, and another player in that action would probably fell down and didn't cross, but he managed to keep his balance, cross a beautiful one inside the box for Casemiro, who leaped over Jesus Vallejo, definitely beating him on the near post, the far post really, heading it, a tap-in header into the net for a 1-0 lead. Then Real Madrid had 10 to 15 minutes stretch where they dominated the game. They were really all over Granada. It seems like Granada have fallen and dropped physically really, especially that right hand side. Fourquier, he had a lot to do on. Mendy was all over him throughout the game, both defensively and defensively. So Granada made 4 changes, and those changes really changed the game from a Granada point of view. They gave them fresh legs, they gave them more ability to go forward, and they did that. They pressed Real Madrid. Real Madrid, by the end of the game, they were really out of it. I mean, it looked certainly that Real Madrid were, content with just winning 1-0 and trying to just lure Granada in, and that's what happened again for the third match in a row after the game against Athletic Bilbao and the game against Eibar. It happens once again. Real Madrid almost conceding on one end, scoring on the other end. Karim Benzema again, the saviour, probably the most important man, rightfully chosen as the best player in Laliga, I think in 2020. He scores the goal, cuts inside, left foot finish from Karim Benzema. How often you do see that from the Frenchman? A left foot finish from Karim Benzema. 2-0 Real Madrid. That is your lot for the game. Again, a nervous game towards the end for Real Madrid, but certainly job done, joint top alongside Atletico Madrid, but always with that asterisk that Atletico Madrid still have 2 games in hand more than Real Madrid. That's all I have to say for this game, this quick recap. Of course, I'm going to be talking about it in the podcast tomorrow. Check that out. Like, share, comment on the video. What do you think of the performance of Real Madrid? Really, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, enable notifications to receive all these kind of match recaps and updates on this channel. Follow us on social media at SouthPSP on Twitter, PitchSidePod on Instagram. Listen to the podcast wherever you can get it from, on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or anywhere else. I was your boy, the HD of the PSP, and until the next video, you'll see me soon. Goodbye.